Hey everyone, welcome to another bonus video. I'm certainly pumping out the bonus videos this week on, in relation to my various interests. And the reason for this one is, as you can see here, Edge of Eternities, and it's now, as far as I can determine, fully spoiled. So as you know, what I'm going to be doing going forward, I've mentioned this a few times in other videos, is with set musings. I'm going to do newer sets, but I'm only going to cover the like the non I don't know the correct term to use for this now. I mean, this is on the edge of the multiverse, so but it's in universe still. It's still part of the sort of Magic the Gathering lore. So I'm going to do all of those, any sets that come out that fall into that, and I'm going to also do a bit of backfilling. I fancy doing some of the aggregate sets as well, some of the remasters if I've not done them yet. But yeah, going forward, it's going to be any set where it's takes part within the Magic the Gathering IP. And yeah, there's a lot to talk about. I've kept roughly to the same format I kept with the previous set I did. So if we go back, the last time I did one of these would have been, oh, there you go, Tarkir Dragonstorm. Excellent set. So yeah, I'm keeping sort of in with that format where I'm slicing and dicing through colours and rarity and a few other things to make it a bit more of an organic musing. So gone are the sort of slicing and dicing through themed mechanics cycles, but they will be revealed as we go through. So the idea with this all along was to try and in some ways get that same buzz you get when you're opening individual packs without me sitting there and generating boosters, which did cross my mind to do at some point, to generate virtual boosters and get that same experience. But maybe that's something I'll do as an experimental video in the future, whenever sets like these fully appear on the virtual booster pack sites. But for the moment, we're going to go through slicing and dicing by, as I've said, colour, one colour, and then the different rarities, and then two colours, and then the other number of colours, and sometimes we won't have anything. So it's interesting to see how the dice fall. At the end, what I'll do is I will do a bit of an overview of themes and mechanics in case we missed anything, but using MTG Wiki, which now, because it's hosted on Scryfall's servers, is awesomely advert free. Okay, let's dive in. I don't know if I want to add anything else. Yeah, I was going to give a bit of a heads up before we go in to this. Where is it? There's been a rules change. I don't know if everybody's aware of this. So starting with this set, legendary spacecraft and legendary vehicles will be eligible to be played as your commander. So, but anyway, we'll revisit this article at the end to see what we might have missed. So, 276 draft cards. Let me just cross-check that. Make sure I'm not diving in too early. Where are we? Yeah, 276 regular cards, 81 commons, 100 uncommons, 60 rares, 20 mythic rares, 15 basic lands. Yeah, the usual sort of shenanigans with various, special artwork, borderless cards. I think, if you've been opening packs for a while now, since there's been all the changes with the different boosters, which has been going on for seemingly quite a while now, you're probably familiar with how this all shakes down. We'll also have a look at the end the other stuff around stellar sites and commander decks as well, just very quickly. Okay, let's dive in again. So what I'm going to do here is attempt to isolate this a little bit. Yeah, actually, no, is that? Oh yeah, I'm already set to go. So, yeah, so let's just scroll through like I usually do. I'll try and do this not too fast because I don't always like this where someone scrolls through super fast. Makes my eyes go funny. Am I able to do, is that worse? Probably. Yeah, so just to give us a bit of an idea as to the aesthetics of the set, I'm not going to necessarily pick out particular cards at this point, but it is nice to get us an overview of the artwork, maybe what the borders sort of generally look like in terms of, you know, what artifacts look like, what coloured artifacts look like. You probably saw at some point, so there's the bordering for the legendaries, which is fairly well established now. Where else are we? Yeah, so here's the spacecraft style bordering. And you can see there's a black artifact there. Another spacecraft. It's pretty cool artwork there. Insatiable skittle mobs. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, I was going to try to avoid picking out certain cards. Anyway, oh, here we go. Yeah, so we've got this cool enchantment border. Very much, you know, which we've seen for quite a while now. And that, I suppose, first started off with what so Journey into Nyx around that period in Magic, Theros, that block. And here, you know, we've got a legendary enchantment. And if we maybe find another enchantment at some point, we can compare and contrast the sort of frame aesthetic there. I don't know how. Oh, there you go. So I wondered whether they were doing it in when it's combined with something else, but that clearly is the enchantment aura. What about a regular non-aura? I say regular, but just a non-aura enchantment. Oh, we're gonna probably not see. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so they do have that. Okay. It's funny when I'm doing set musings like this. Every so often I do tend to forget what the current sort of border design is. My plan at some point, I'm not going to necessarily do it as the sets come out, but I do want to start buying boosters for the sets where I'm going to be doing set musings, but open them quite a while after the fact, because I've got a load of boosters that I'm going to be opening, sort of slow rolling. So I'm rather stocked up. I took a trip to Toronto recently and picked up some packs. Oh, it's a corgi. There we go. Well, I like what I'm seeing artwork-wise. This is nice. Okay, and then we move into this area here. You can see we got full art forests. These are pretty cool. So just to try and do this so these are what are called the viewport lands. So we've got the finishing off, we just came through here, and this is the style of the viewport lands. Then we've got triumphant cards in this style. Surreal space cards. Extended art. And of course these are all art versions of cards we've just already glanced at. Japan Showcase, okay. Galaxy Fall Celestial Galaxy Fall Celestial Basic Lands. Galaxy Fall Viewpoint View. Oh dear, I'm having words with trouble pronunciation this morning. Viewport Lands. Headliner card. Fracture Foil Japan Showcase. Right, that's white bordered. Interesting. And the promo cards. No doubt when I flick through the MTG Wiki article, then we'll get a feel for why some of these are appearing, because I think it's the case, isn't it, now, although they've simplified the number of different boosters in some ways. I think it is still the case that certain cards might be only available in certain boosters, maybe, although maybe that's the stellar sites I'm thinking of, but I'm sure all will be revealed when we have a quick loop back to this article at the end. Okay, let's dive in. So what have we got in white? And we're going through by mana value. Let's just see what we can see. So remember, we're keeping an eye out for landfall, station, warp and void, amongst other things. Okay, so we've got +1/+1 counters. Hang on, did I jump ahead there? Let me just check something. I seem to have lost one somehow. Let me just fix that. There we go. Yeah, it must have inadvertently jumped over something. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. Right. Okay. There we go. That's better. Focus fire. Deals X damage to target attacking or blocking creature where X is 2 plus number of creatures and or spacecraft you control. So already, and this is why it's nice to look at commons first. Yeah, we're seeing spacecraft front and center. Okay. Equipment. Coloured artifacts. +1/+1 counters. So we have 3 1-drops at common in white. Banishing Light is in the set. Okay. Surveil, I don't know how much that will crop up. Life gain, +2/+0. Lux Night Breacher, +1/+1 counter on it for each other creature and or artifact you control. And we'll do a review at the end with relation to like the limited archetypes as well. So. And I'm sure they'll jump out when we get to the 2 colour stuff. So. Oh, colourless robot tokens, cool. So here we go. We've got warp. We had warp here. Any other warps at common in white? I don't think so. Okay. Alternative cost for permanents, usually creatures. It offers a faster way to get permanents out, but they are exiled at the beginning of the next end step. However, they can be cast later on a later turn from exile. When a spell is cast by paying its warp cost, it means it's been warped. Since warped permanents are temporary, they usually have enters or leaves the battlefield abilities, strong static abilities, haste and or efficient large sizes for its warp cost, which is ideal for stationing cards. Okay, so moving up a rarity, uncommon, see, +1/+1 again. In terms of counters, there's another one. Oh, seam rip. When this enchantment enters, exile target non-land permanent, no opponent controls with mana value 2 or less until this enchantment leaves the battlefield. So we've definitely got counters in white. We've definitely got creature tokens. There's a double strike card. Interesting. 5 creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Well, scout for survivors, more counters, more warp. So yeah, we're definitely seeing warp here in white at common. So that's obviously something that they want front and center. There's station. So tap another creature you control. Put charge counters equal to its power on this spacecraft. Station only as a sorcery. It's an artifact creature. It's an artifact creature at 9+. Okay, so this is a spacecraft. So at some point we'll have to work out what's going on there. So this is this is a new keyword ability found on spacecraft, artifacts, and a cycle of planet lands. This allows its controller to tap creatures, including ones that came under their control this turn, to put charge counters equal to the counter's power onto the card as a sorcery, stationing the card. After reaching a certain threshold of charge counters, the card gains extra abilities, sometimes permanently becoming a creature with a specific power and toughness. A single card can have multiple thresholds and thus can gain more than one set of abilities and or stats. So that's something to look out for. If this is using counters, this is going to be open for synergy with proliferate outside of the set. Hopefully proliferate isn't in the set. That would be rather dangerous, but anyway. So I think we're starting to get a bit of an impression here. So moving on to the rares and mythics. And we'll also do a mythic roundup at the end, as I like to do. It does get hard, doesn't it, sometimes on the screen to spot the differences between a rare and a mythic. I imagine if I was opening packs of this, I would miss them if I was sort of filming. With some set symbols, it does pop better than others. That reminds me of something, and I can't think what artwork. Okay, so enchant artifact you control. So we're enchanting artifacts. When this aura enters, exile target creature and opponent controls until this aura leaves the battlefield. Enchant permanent has ward 1. So we're probably going to see, obviously, mechanics that aren't necessarily themed around the set, but are, either evergreen mechanics or mechanics from Magic's history sort of popping in. Okay, tokens and counters. Modal. Right, more warp. More artifact shenanigans. Another station card with a 7+ on it. We've got to keep our eyes out for these multiple thresholds, or whatever they're calling them. What did they call them? Yeah, multiple thresholds. Another warp. It's flying lifelink. Angel wizard. Okay. Yeah, these spacecraft with the full art really pop. Some more than others. That's just because the border's so dark, you don't notice it quite so much. Or the artwork's so dark. Yeah, so that's got 2 thresholds on it, 2+ and 12+. Other creatures you control get +1/+1, flying and lifelink. So it becomes an artifact creature at 12+. Be interesting to see where this goes. Once people start mixing and matching this with cards outside of the set. Exile all creatures and spacecraft, 3 and 2 white, sorcery at rare. Okay, so I'm just going to step back. So 15 white card, mono white cards again. Notice I'm saving the multicolours till further in. So yeah, 15 common in white, uncommon 17 in white, and then rares and mythics 11. Moving on to blue. Okay, a couple of 1-drops there. Oh yeah, doing this sort of minus power, -0 on the toughness thing that we see in blue. Counter target spell. Create a lander token. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. If they do, you create a lander token. So that's interesting. So 1 and a blue counter spell with the option to nerf it. But if you do, if it is, then you get a lander token. Trying to see if we've seen that before. The other thing with these episodes, I try real hard not to go down any rabbit holes. So just so you know, I'm not going to start clicking on these and go off, however tempting it might be. But like anything here, I'm open to comments in the comments section if anybody wants me to explore certain rabbit holes that people want to do with regards to this set in a Scryfall Shenanigans episode. That would be cool. Jellyfish Rogue. Oh, wow. +1/+1 counter. Okay. So we've seen counters in white. We've seen counters in. Then we're seeing counters in blue at common. 1 less to cast. Okay. Hexproof granting. Interesting way. So it's equipment. When it enters, attach it to a target creature you control. Straight away, that creature gains hexproof until end of turn. Equipped creature gets +1/+2. Equip for 3. That's another interesting one that we go down a rabbit hole. See, when we got this idea of being able to attach equipment straight away when it enters, rather than enters the battlefield and then you have to pay an equip cost, even if the equip cost might be 0 or whatever. So specifically this +1/+0. Oh, here's warp. It's an alternative, in blue. So warp in blue, that alternative cost. Okay, more warp. So definitely, we are pushing warp in the set. Got another dog here. Counter target artifact or enchantment spell. Also a null. Okay. Steel Swarm Operator. Code Cracker Hound, Unravel, Jellyfish Rogue, Jellyfish Scientist, Mouth of the Storm, 6 and a blue with Ward 2, flying 6/6. When this creature enters creatures your opponent's control, get -3, -0 till end of turn. There seems to be a... Is that... Let me just go back one step. So that's -5, -0. I'm just seeing if that's featuring a lot in the set. I don't know if it is. So there's a -3, -0. So we'll keep our eye open for that. I don't know how often it comes up in Magic sets. I know it's a thing, but I don't know how prevalent it is in a set to have multiple cards with that on. Weft Walking. So we're now onto the rares and mythics. So 15 commons in blue, mono blue, 17, and then 9 this time around. Oh, that's nice. 1-drop spacecraft. Becomes a 4/4 flying vigilance at 9. It's a station at 2 at the beginning of combat on your turn. Up to one other target artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 2/2 and gains flying until end of turn. Yeah, warps all over the place. Okay. Enchant artifact or creature you control. And the spacecrafts are artifacts. Ooh, we have a jellyfish advisor. Creature, so jellyfish is a thing. Another rabbit hole potentially to go down. Also, I'm trying to think how many Leviathans there's been in Magic. Oh, some pretty interesting creature types here, isn't there? Ooh. These look cool. So, moving on to black commons, of which there are 15. We got this crane. Can you see this is? I wasn't keeping tabs on this. I don't know if anybody else has noticed these, but these land tokens. I saw at least one earlier. Oh, destroy target creature or spacecraft. But as the good thing is, as spacecraft are artifacts, then yeah, you can blow them up with artifact destruction. +2, +0 and indestructible. Skittermore, insect horror, insect robot assassins. Oh, this looks good. Human soldiers, insect warriors, horror. Grav kill, exile target creature or spacecraft for 3 and a black at common. Robot artifact creatures. There's Void. If a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn, instead you draw 2 cards and each opponent loses 2 life. Void is a new ability word for abilities that trigger if a non-land permanent has left the battlefield or a spell has been warped this turn. A spell has been cast for its warp cost. These include alternative or additional effects on instants and sorceries and triggered abilities on permanents. Void abilities trigger irrespective of who controls the non-land permanent, who warped the spell, whether or not the spell resolves, or whatever happens to that permanent after it leaves, or to the spell after it's warped. Since they represent Monoist entropic magic. They are mostly found on black cards. Okay. And there is warp again. Holder blade. Ooh. With void on it. That creature gets -10/-10 until end of turn instead. If a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn. So -2/-2 for a single black, or -10/-10 with its void. +1/+1 counters in black as well. So we saw a load in white, we saw some in blue, got them in black at uncommon. Another surveil here, like a returning, returning themes for a ways back. Station. Oh, we got spacecraft with mill. Flying in lifelink. Blade of the Swarm, insect assassin. Let's see how this assassinates. When this creature enters, choose one. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on this creature. Put target exiled creature with warp on the bottom of its owner's library. Okay. Oh, let's convoke. Another void card. So we've got an ETB here with where when this creature enters until end of turn, target creature you control gets +X/+0, and target creature an opponent controls gets -0/-X, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Then we've got the rares. 0-point ballad. Destroy all creatures with toughness X or less. You lose X life. If X is 6 or more, return a creature card put into a graveyard this way to the battlefield under your control. Okay. Requiem Monolith. Arch Enemies Charm. Entropic Battlecruiser with thresholds of 1+ and 8+. Sothera the Super Void, a legendary enchantment, 2 and 2 black. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent chooses a creature they control and exiles it. At the beginning of your end step, if a player controls no creatures, sacrifice Sothera and then put a creature card exile with it onto the battlefield under your control with 2 additional +1/+1 counters on it. So we've definitely got +1/+1 coming across from all angles here. Okay, red Plasma Bolt. So it's a 2 damage spell for 1 with void on it. Turns it into a. So what's that, from a shock to a bolt? Yeah. Interesting way of doing things, actually. So upscaling a spell. Again, 15 cards. Was it sort of roughly the same ratio as we've been seeing so far? So 15, 17, and then 10 in mono black, mythic or rare. So 15 again for the red commons. 6 in a red. Target creature control gets +4/+0 until end of turn. We got some pretty beefy activation costs here and there, haven't we? Not a lot, but a few, I think. There's warp again. More void. So we're seeing void in red. At common. I wonder if black red void is a thing. Yeah, imagine it's pretty good in a red-black aggressive deck where creatures are leaving the battlefield through combat damage. So we've got 2 and a red for damage spell, but target creatures only. 6 damage spell, sorcery speed. We have menace in red at common as well. So 6 and a red for 4/4 dragon with flying, but it has a bolt on it as well. When it enters the battlefield, any target. Uncommon. 3+2 for 1. With trample and haste if it's cast for its warp. If the creature was cast for its warp cost. Wow, there's some, yeah. With all these various threshold counters going on and stuff which is dependent on other stuff being cast for its warp alternative cost. Like, imagine keeping track of current board states could get quite complicated. Create a lander token. Okay. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn for 2 and a red. It's on a creature. Interesting. Ruinous Rampage, modal spell, sorcery speed, yeah, more warp, another station, another one there as well, more void, there's landfall, so it's on 12 cards in the whole set, I believe. Okay, X red spell, creating X tokens that are copies of target artifact or creature you control. Those tokens gain haste until end of turn. So that would mean if stations are artifacts, you can copy them. So when you copy a station, I wonder if it like the copy has all the stuff on it as well, like the threshold counter. Not sure about that without consulting the rules text, which would mean going down here and the potential to go down a rabbit hole. I'm going to hold off on that. I'm going to still myself and not go down any rabbit holes, but yeah, that's something to think about. Okay. So with red, 15, what was that? 17 and 10. So green, 15 again. So what are we seeing at common in green? See, yeah, look, +1/+1 counters are all over the place. Lander token, death touch. That's pretty meaty equip cost there. When this equipment enters, you see, yeah, I wonder how many of these are in the set where the equipment just comes in and it attaches itself straight away. Equip creature has +2/+1 and has reach. Equip for 5. It's almost as if it doesn't want you to equip it to anything else. Or make it hard to equip to anything else. It's very sticky equipment. Lander tokens, +5/+0. Whenever this creature blocks a creature, so we're seeing these pump spells on creatures. Let's surveil again. More counters. There's landfall. We got warp. What fungus piece? Plant worm. Like I said, lots of interesting sort of hybrid types here. Hedge rover. Brood guard elite. You can see here, you know, how recently the set just stopped being spooled, because we've still got the odd scan here, which is a slightly lower resolution. So, yeah, I was watching this, like, I think yesterday, this morning when I checked, it had sort of flipped over. Maybe late yesterday it had into being sort of properly listed. Prior to that, it had all the, you know, day by day spoilers broken down. That's normally my trigger point, is as soon as I sort of see it flip over to non-spoiler mode, then I know that's when I need to dive in. More counters, another station, landfall. Yeah, so we're seeing a few more landfall things going on. There's another Leviathan. I wonder if there's a cycle of those, perhaps. We'll see. Okay, rares and mythics in green. We got 9. What was our uncommon count? 17 again. Okay. Uh-oh. 2 green for 3/2. Can't be countered. It's got trample and haste. Creature spells you control can't be countered. Combat damage can't be prevented. Wow. Okay. Bioengineered future. More counters. Another spacecraft. I think it's the case, isn't it, that all the spacecraft we've seen so far, I don't think I've seen one with 3 thresholds on it. I could be wrong. Another landfall. Okay, what have we got going on here? You may play an additional land on each of your turns. You may pay lands from your graveyard. Whenever a land you control enters, mill a card. Okay, so that's downside. That's interesting sort of power balancing thing going on. So here's loads of land. Oh, but I'm going to mill you if you play them. 2 and 2 green. Yeah, more warp. Oh, what do you reckon? Is there a cycle of Leviathans at higher rarities? We'll have to see. Where is it getting its power toughness from? Devour 3. Devour land 3. Sacrificing the old lands. It's 3 times that many 1/1 counters. But just to see what sort of lands we've got. Is that any lands? Yeah. Okay, so as you can see, at common, there are no 2 colour cards. However, there we go. And funnily enough, we have 10 cards at uncommon. So let's just group these by colour, and you'll probably not be surprised to realise, I'm assuming that these must be a cycle of signpost cards, the 10 uncommon dual coloured cards which act as signposts for draft archetypes. Legendary creatures are characters within the magic story and have a version of higher rarity to show how they change through the story. Okay. Interesting. No doubt we'll see that in a moment when we get on to the rares and mythics. So, this is a good opportunity to just flag up the limited archetypes. So apparently white-blue is second spell. You can see here, whenever you cast your second spell each turn, create a 1/1 colourless drone artifact creature, token with flying, and this token can block only creatures with flying. Blue-black 1 artifact control. It's got 2 cards unless you discard an artifact card during your turn. Afriel has Death Touch. Interceptor Mechan, which is the black red, it is Void, is the archetype. Tannock Memorial Ensign. Now also, I don't know if you, it looks like we've got another pattern emerging here. I don't know if you can see where the legendary creatures are in the, what would that be? So blue, black, red, green. Yeah, so it's sort of, oh, does it alternate? Did I speak out of turn there? Oh, okay. Sorry, I spoke out of turn. I thought perhaps there was some subtle alternating pattern going on there, but clearly there isn't. How many? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 6. I thought it was going to be 5 and 5, but clearly it isn't. So I take that back. So yeah, this is Landers and Landfall. Then Hylia Ascendant Cadet, which is green-white, is indeed +1/+1 counters, although we see +1/+1 counters all over the place in this set. Servondum the Lucient is go wide. With these names, Memonon Uthros Exile, blue-red, which is Artifact Aggro, also a jellyfish. Whenever an artifact you control enters, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Speedship Brood Tender, black-green graveyard. When this creature enters, mill 3 cards. And then there's a sack ability on here as well. So sack the creature, return target creature or spacecraft card from your graveyard to the battlefield, activate only as a sorcery. Semi-Ships Engineer, red-white space stations and robots. And Biomech Engineer, wow, 8, draw 2 cards and create 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. This is ramp. When this creature enters a land, a token, create a land, a token. So yeah, green, blue is ramp. If we go up to the next rarity, we've got 11 cards here. If I order them by colour, it might be a bit easier to see what's going on here. So there is another cycle in here. We've obviously got another card, which would be this, because this is the mythic here, which is additional, although we did see there was another Sammy as well, so that's interesting. But the actual red-white card that's part of the cycle, I believe, is supposed to be... No, see, this doesn't look right. Anyway. I wonder what's going on there. I thought there was supposed to be some sort of relationship between these two. But maybe I've got it wrong. Okay, maybe that'll bounce out later. We'll see what's going on. But you can see this is a higher rarity version of something we saw. This is the, as I said, this is a mythic. The rest of these are rare. And there's 10 of them if you exclude this one, which is another red-white. So we have Space-Time Anomaly, which is the white-blue, Singularity Rupture, blue-black, Mutinous Massacre, black-red, Biotech Specialist, red-green, Daedrine, Synthesis Amalgam, green-white, Servondum, Sunstar Exemplar, white-black, Pinnacle, Emissary, blue-red, Cosmogoyf, black-green, Radgos Deft Gastronaut, red-white, and then Genomorph Imago, green blue, and you'll probably see in there like echoes of the draft archetypes. No 3 colour cards at common or rare or uncommon. Uncommon or rare and mythic. What's above that? Well, Infinite Guideline Station, which is 5 colour legendary artifact spacecraft. When Infinite Guideline Station enters, create a tapped 2/2 colourless robot artifact creature token for each multicoloured permanent you control. Station, and it has a single threshold, 12+, at which point it becomes a creature and it has flying. And whenever Infinite Guideline Station attacks, draw a card for each multicoloured permanent you control. And that ties in nicely with that rules change I think I mentioned, where legendary spacecraft and legendary vehicles will be eligible to be played as your commander. So we have a 5 colour commander. Okay. Our artifacts at common, 0 colour artifacts. That's both artifacts and artifact creatures and spacecraft. So you can see, it was interesting to see what artifacts there are at common. And if this creature becomes tapped, you gain 1 life. 2 tap, put a target card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. It's Robocorgi. Wormwall Sweeper. When this spacecraft enters Surveil 2 station, 4+ threshold for flying in a 2/2. Pinnacle Kill Ship, 7 to cast. Threshold is at 7. You get a 7/7. So when that enters, it does 10 damage up to 1 target creature. What's the ETB on this? When the spacecraft enters Surveil 2, be interesting to see where our colour fixing is in colours, if anything. Oh, there we go. All Fate Scroll. Add 1 mana of any colour. Dawn, Scrapbot, Virulent Silencer, and Survey Mechan, Bygone Colossus. So far we've seen 5 at common, 5 at uncommon, 8 here. Now don't forget, we would have seen coloured artifacts in the coloured slices. So this is the sort of completely uncoloured in terms of casting cost. I don't know if any of these have how did I do this? I did it, yeah, not by colour identity, but I don't know if any of these do actually have don't think they have a colour in the casting cost actually. No. So, yeah, so in amongst the rare ones, we've got an interesting sort of mixture of stuff. So we have the lone planeswalker, I believe, which is Tezzeret, Cruel Captain. And we'll probably get onto that in a moment. The Dominion Bracelet, Dawnshire Star Dreadnought, 50 equipped creatures +1/+1 and has 15 exile. The Dominion Bracelet. So yeah, there's several very high cost activation costs here. Oh, we've got something that generates like a sort of super soul ring, but for 5. 3 colourless mana. There's our, is that the only Eldrazi in here? Anti-causal Vestige, 6 to cast, 7/5 with warp, and when it leaves the battlefield, ability on it. Oh, we have an affinity for slivers. Wow. Slivers you control have double strike and haste. At the beginning of your upkeep, create 2 1/1 colour sliver creature tokens. Interesting. Thrumming Hive Pool, the End Stone, and Extinguisher Battleship with a threshold of 5+ for a 10/10 flying trample. thing. Okay, the land. So we have just see how this breaks down. Looks like, okay, I don't know how easy this is to see. You can see these are grouped by, I've got them all together and they're grouped by rarity. So we have a single non-basic land at common command bridge. Enters tapped when the land enters sacrifice unless you tap an untapped permanent you control. Add 1 mana of any colour. And then you can see here, yep, we have these old favourites. In also, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. So these would be enemy coloured, and they're the land, the non-basic lands with the base, the land types on them. So useful in Magic, and I don't know specifically in this set if there are any cards that I don't know if there are, but yeah, useful in decks where you're tutoring for specific land types. As this land enters the battlefield, you may pay 2 life. If you don't, it enters tapped. That's the same on all of them. We've got this one, which is also at rare, which is the odd one out, not part of the cycle. Tap for colourless. 2 tap X on tapped artifacts you control. Target creature gets +X/+0 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. 5 tap, create a 2/2 colourless robot artifact creature token. And then these, which are mythic planets, they enter tapped, all of them, and they, as you can see, are mono-coloured planets. So they enter tap. When they untap, you tap them for a particular colour, but they also have station on them. So you can see all of them have a threshold of 12, and when you get to that threshold, you get this ability on it. So the white one, 3 and a white, create a token. That's a copy of target artifact or enchantment you control, except it's a legendary. Activate only as a sorcery. Green one, single green, tap, add green for each creature control. The red one, white, red, tap, sacrifice a land, create 2/2 colourless robot artifact creature token. Then creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain haste until end of turn. We've got a pay 2 life thing going on here with 1 and a black. Sacrifice a creature. Okay. Draw cards equal to sacrifice creature's power. Activate only as a sorcery. Blue, tap, add blue for each artifact you control. It's interesting, isn't it? With a lot of so the station thing, so tap another creature control, put a charge counter. I'm just trying to work out like how fast, relatively speaking, this set might be, because that's a high number, but if you have a lot of creatures in play, then you're gonna, it's not as if it's like happening, it's only going to happen on the 12th turn or something like that. It's going to happen sooner, based on your ability to tap creatures and not use them necessarily in combat, unless you can get the order right and they have vigilance on them. Okay, here's the basic land. So it looks like they're doing this thing, I think we've seen it quite a few times, where it's sort of split. We've got like 2 pieces of artwork for the sort of regular old school land layout, and then 2 pieces of artwork for the full art. But they look pretty cool, although that's interesting because that looks to me like the same artwork. Wonder what's going on here. Oh yeah, it's foil, that's why. Yep, so that's a foil one. Yep, so regular foil. That's why. Okay. Yeah, they look pretty cool. That's very nice. Is that it's funny, isn't it? It almost looks like this might be the sort of odd one out, because the others are almost like taking a space view. Unless that is land, I don't think it is. Whereas that one is clearly from a sort of on the planet itself. Although I suppose, well, yeah, difficult to know, isn't it? Yeah, I'm just trying to see if we've got any sort of particular pattern here. This looks like, yeah, so we've got spacecraft coming in, spacecraft coming in, spacecraft coming in. Yeah. Not sure here, maybe I'm seeing a pattern that's not actually there. Maybe it's that one, yeah, I'm not sure here. Oh well. Seeing if there's any. It's all the same. Yeah. Okay. Just seeing if there's any pattern in the artist as well. These are all the same artist. Okay. So yeah, I've grouped together the mythics. You may also notice that I think there's this thing going on where some cards, isn't the case with this? Is it at, yeah. So it's at a couple of different rarities. So the alternate art's at a different rarity. So what have we got here? Just at mythic. So 2 in white. Both creatures. 1, 2, 3 in blue. 2 creatures and enchantment. One of which is a alt art and is usually a rare. Alpha rails. Jason. So a legendary creature, legendary enchantment of black. Red, we've got sorcery and a legendary creature. Green, a Leviathan, another one which I'm assuming is, yeah. The artwork's a higher rarity. Ice Tail Explorer, Aura Boreod. And then we have some 2 colour mythics. There's Semi Wild Cat Captain, Mutinous Massacre. Anticalls of Vestige, which is that. Dawnshire Star and Dreadnought, wow, 2020. There's Tezzeret, Dominion Bracelet, the End Stone, and the planets which we've already seen. And then we've got Secluded Starforge, which usually the other artwork is at rare. Here's our legends. 23 in total if you sort of group everything together, both legends and in terms of spacecraft, planeswalkers, everything. If we sort of break that down and thin it out a bit, you've got a single legendary, single planeswalker, Tezzeret Cruel Captain. Whenever an artifact you control enters, put a loyalty counter on Tezzeret. 0 ability, untap target artifact or creature. If it's an artifact creature, put a 1/1 counter on it. -3, search your library for an artifact card with mana value 1 or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. -7 is where you get your emblem with, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put 1/1 counters on a target artifact you control. If it's not a creature, it becomes a 0/0 robot artifact creature. 4 loyalty, and obviously this is the ultimate ability. You can see there a couple of different pieces of artwork. And the non-planeswalker legendaries, there are 22. You can see we've got legendary artifact spacecraft, legendary creature jellyfish advisors, human cleric, enchantment, human wizard, cavu pilot, human cleric, cavu pilot, construct, human soldier, human knight, jellyfish advisor, lobster citizen, human artificer rogue. It's a kitty. Infinite guideline station, drawn sire, dominion bracelet, the endstone, the eternity elevator with a 20+ threshold. And in EDH record, the other thing is actually if I just also do this, maybe it's a bit easier to see. There we go. So there's actually 15 legendary creatures. There we go. Maybe that's a little bit easier. If we group them by rarity, does anything spring out at us? And do it ascending? Well, yes. So we'll see in a moment where there is a cycle, but you can see, look. Here we've got what's this? Blue, black, green, white, blue, red, red, white, white, black, red, green. We'll check in a moment. And then we've got some rare, but they're all sort of all over the map. And then these three, I think it's only these three are mythic. Yeah, a bit easier to spot when they're in a line like this, but you can see, yeah, that often happens to me on camera where I will often miss the mythics in certain sets because it's difficult to see with a particular set symbol. Okay, EDH threat ranking. I thought I'd have a quick. I know it's in the early days at the moment, so you can take this with a sort of pinch of salt, read into what you want. So yeah, Tezzeret's bubbled up. Obviously people are already building stuff with the cards, even though they're not available. And that obviously would be part of the 99. We got Tannock. There, yep, lands matter deck. But like I said, early days, so be interesting to see how this pans out. And as it's early days, I'm not going to bother looking at prices because they'll be all over the map, so we'll skip over that like I usually do now with these. Okay, let's just go back and do a quick review before we talk about a few other things connected with the set. So you can see themes and mechanics, yep, station, warp, landfall we saw. Actually, one thing I am curious about, let's have a quick look because I didn't get a very good idea about how many cards had landfall on them. So, oh, spell it right. There we go. There's the 12 cards. So yeah, although I knew there were 12, but I just didn't know specifically which ones were. So if I do this by colour and sending, do we get a bit of a better idea? So what do we see? Well, there's only what, 1, 2, 3 are at rare. Most of them look like they're at uncommon. Let me just reorganize that by rarity. Yeah, so 1 at common in green. Number of uncommon, so green, red, green again, white, red, green, red, and then we get to the higher rarity stuff up to the rares. So the only thing we don't see landfall in by the look of these things is mono blue, because there is a green blue one. I think everything else, and black by the look of things, not in black at all. Yeah, so only blue by way of this gold card. So yeah. Interesting. Ice Cave Crasher landfall deck. Yeah, definitely. What was it? It was green red, wasn't it? It was landers and landfall. I don't know if you get anything by going red, green, white. I think everything you need is probably in red, green there. With Tannock. Yeah, so Station Warp Void, subtype spacecraft, planet, oh, 5 factions, Summists, Ilvol Bloom, including the jellyfish, Monists, vampires. So white we've got angels, blue jellyfish, black vampires, red Kavu, insects, and then humans are mixed in. Is Drix. Oh, lobster becomes an eternal legend creature type. Scientist is used for the first time in universe. Dragons, lure, gorf, and sliver tokens. Charge counters, poison counters made a cameo appearance on 1 call card variant silencer. Oh, okay. I missed that. There's our archetypes again. And then the cycles. Let's have a quick look at these. It's easier to do it from here sometimes. So yeah, mythic planets, which we'd already identified. I think it's not popping up for some reason. Yeah, so they will have that, 12 plus threshold business. Double pit warpers. Okay, so this is a cycle. Then we've got single pit warpers. And that one was the one that also had alternate art at high rarity. Rare non-legendary spacecraft. So there is a cycle of spacecraft at rare. I did like the artwork on that one, particularly. Uncommon spacecraft. Yeah, it looks like there's 10 then, 2 in each colour. Okay. See all the links will work here because it's early days. That's pretty good going. And then Shocklands, which we'd already mentioned. And the double cycles, which we did go through at rare, and then there were also Oh, sorry. Let me roll the back. We went through this cycle, but I was a bit unsure about what was in the rare cycle. So yeah, the uncommon 2 colours really easy to spot. I was a bit unsure about this cycle, which is the rares, but that's those. That's Cosmogoyf. Yeah. Oh, got some pairs. As you can see here, match pairs of legendary creatures represent the growth and change of major characters in the set story. So that's how they're doing that. I wondered how that was coming through. So that's how that's being done. Okay, so that now makes a little bit more sense. I thought initially when I heard it they were doing it through this bit, but no, it's sort of been done as pairs. Reprinted cards. Yeah, so of course you probably might know where these originally came from. A virus beetle. Oh yeah, so I know. I was trying to think where that came from. There's a saga of way back. And then we've got some precons, which are the commander decks, which leads me nicely to, in addition to Edge of Eternities, and I'll include all the links here, the original links, you've got Edge of Eternities Stellar Sites, EOS, of which there are 181. And these things, now, these are ones where they're a bonus sheet, and 1 out of 8 Edge of Eternity play boosters. Additionally, Edge of Eternity's collector boosters will contain at least 1 Stellar Sites land or Power Stellar Sites. So yeah, this is this thing where based on the things like there's also exclusive collector boosters, I think, as well, 46 to 180. So yeah, there's all sorts of weird stuff going on there, which I can never quite get my head round. Exactly how on certain sets that's done, but anyway, they do mess around with the obviously the amount that things appear in certain boosters, and whether or not some of these might only appear in certain types of boosters, and so on and so forth. So it's an interesting style though. Oh, there's Mutavault. So some of Magic's most iconic lands from across its history. So yeah, with this sort of stuff you get, you know, older cards in. So Ancient Tomb, that's pretty cool. I have no idea how much some of these are going to be. There's Contested War Zone. Oh, Creeping Tar Pit is in here. Dust Bowl. Oh, good old Eldrazi Temple. Wow. Got some classics. Mirror Pool. That's I'm thinking of something else. I'm trying to think of the Locust lands now. Raging Ravine, Power Depot. And yeah, quite handily, if you go down here, let me come back up again. So this is nice. If you come in here, yeah, it's got them all listed out here. So, and where they came from originally. Oh, Spring Pulse Nexus there. Dear me. Oh, Lotus Field. It's a Thespian stage. Wow. There's Mutavault. What's the other one I noticed there that I got a little bit excited about? What was it? That's the Ancient Tomb. So where's that in the grand scheme of things? Oh, that was from Tempest, wasn't it? Yeah, that's right. Nice. And then, yeah, the Edge of Eternities Commander stuff. So a number of different treatments here. Festering Thicket. Ooh, okay. Cycle lands. Chaos Warp. Thirst for Knowledge. Oh, there's an Arcane Signet. Pentad Prism. There's your Soul Ring. Very nice. Ethereum Sculptor. Wow. Oh, Throwing Bird. There's a Braids. Alright. That's old style artwork. Rampaging Balos here. Some classics. So out of curiosity, if I go up and start just filtering out a few things here. I'm completely doing this now, unplanned. I'm just riffing here. Okay. So that's Pentad Prism. Oh, Hammer of Porphyros is in there. Historical. Wow, Everflowing Chalice. Oh, Lux Cannon, Steel Overseer. Oh, and some of the artifact lands. Wow. And two color artifact lands. Oh, wow. Legend. How much legendary stuff? What's the matter with me? Stuff do we get? 21. Oh. 1, 2. Gitrog. Oh, that's in there. Anomnath. From Domineering United. And a legendary creature cat avatar. Soul of Windgrace. Mav. Got a black, red, green legendary creature avatar. I wonder if I've pulled one of those already. Is there an opportunity here for a cat land destruction deck? Perhaps? I don't know. Cat's litter tray deck, perhaps? Yeah, a bit of give. We don't really want to go down a kitty rabbit hole, do we? So there we have it. I hope you enjoyed that. It certainly brought a smile to my face. And yeah, thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in the next video.